Welcome to Create Arts Online. I'm Sarah Gardner. Art journaling for me is all about play and no pressure. It's my mindfulness practice. I'm just playing in my art journal. I'm not judging everything I'm doing, worrying about how it's going to turn out. I'm fully engaged in the process of creating, making one little choice after the other. My attention and focus is on just what's in front of me in the moment. In mixed media, the vast array of art supplies can be overwhelming, but whatever you have will give you joy, and there are so many possibilities. This course will expose you to quite a few mixed media supplies and how they play together. In the course PDF, I've listed all the supplies that I used for the juggling of these two journals. Juggling Journals is about creating two completely different mixed media art journal spreads in two separate journals. In this course, I'm going to be showing you my layering methodology, inviting randomness and unpredictability into the creative process. I don't always know the outcome of adding any particular medium or layer into my pages, and that's okay. In each of the art journals, we'll be starting by conquering the blank page. You'll see how I use high contrast collage on the first layer of Journal 1, and then in Journal 2, we'll add color in two different media to create a painted horizon valley to guide the composition of future layers. I'll introduce you to some of my favorite art supplies, including acrylic inks, matte finish acrylic paints, oil pastels, water-soluble crayons, gold leaf, and stencils. I'll be demonstrating techniques that bring in randomness and unpredictability. These types of techniques help me let go of control and any fixation on the end result. This approach brings me into the moment, brings me joy, and allows me to tap into my intuition. For example, I'll show you how to use an upcycled hotel key or credit card to scrape paint into the page. With this technique, you don't have a lot of control over how the paint goes down, and you just have to accept what the card gives you. I'll teach you how to get a blown ink effect that adds random tendrils of colored movement into your spread. I can't wait to show you how to create an image transfer that's easy and adds an impactful focal point to your spread. You'll embrace imperfection because image transfers are notoriously imperfect. Using a sgraffito technique, we'll add words to one spread with stream of consciousness writing that we etch into layers of media. I'll offer tips on mark making that free you from making marks that are too uniform, and you'll get to scribble like a kid. I'll show you how to transfer a drawn mandala into your spread using graphite transfer paper so that you don't have to draw it by hand yourself. I'll show you how even one word can have a big impact in communicating your own experience of the creative process. In these multi-layered art journal spreads, I'll show you so many different techniques. At the same time, you'll see how you can use a single supply in different ways. I'm excited to introduce you to my alternating layering process that in my creative practice contributes to my well-being. So let's get juggling.
Sarah, thank you so much for coming to Create Arts Online. I am so thrilled to have you here as one of our instructors, and you are all in for such a treat. This is an incredible course, and I can't thank you for being here.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been absolutely like a joy and so much fun to create this course with you guys, and I can't wait for everybody to have fun creating with it.
Absolutely. So before we talk about the course, can you share a little bit about your background? I know you are a professional lawyer, but now you're a professional mixed media artist as well. How does that transition happen?
Yeah, so I feel like I always kind of had this desire to create within me since I was a little kid. And, you know, I became a lawyer, so I'd have a profession. And I really feel like I enjoy using both sides of my brain, like my left brain and my right brain.
Yes.
And I feel like the creative practice has actually informed my ability to act as an effective attorney in creative ways and basically tap into my authenticity more in my professional life. Because this creativity, this art journaling practice of mine is my self-care. I talk about creativity being my self-care all the time.
Well, yeah, and as we were filming this course, there's a lot of that you talk about, and getting lost in the process, where this isn't about, making the perfect piece every time. And page after page can be all about experimenting. Tell me a little bit more about that lost in the process experience.
Yeah, so part of it is this tendency I've had for most of my life to be a perfectionist. And
you're a recovering perfectionist.
Yes, exactly. I'm still recovering. It's like I'm off the wagon all the time. But so the idea of being able to play, let myself learn, because the perfectionist, that inner critic in my head, is always telling me, you shouldn't do anything at all unless you can do it perfectly, like right out of the box.
Right.
And basically that just cripples you from trying anything new, right?
Yes, exactly.
So I finally realized that you can't learn how to do anything unless you do it, unless you try. And you have to kind of be willing to make mistakes. And the playful process of creating in my art journal allows me to make mistakes and then recover from those mistakes and create something from them. And sometimes that ends up being the best part of an art journal spread, is what I've done to react to and kind of adjust from a mistake that I think I've made.
Right.
And so I get less uncomfortable with imperfection in my regular life because I've already dealt with it and seen that everything works out okay, even if I do make a mistake.
So it's therapy.
It is, totally. It absolutely is. I feel like when I'm creating in my art journal, I'm creating new neural pathways in my brain.
Yes.
I honestly believe it.
They say that, and it has been discovered in science, that this kind of practice can change the neural pathways in your brain, which we fully support.
Yeah.
And you would say that this is for beginners as well. Any level of artist would be able to dive right into this course.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like one of my mottos about mixed media is anyone can do this.
Yes.
And you really just have to have an attitude of playfulness and curiosity, being willing to just explore and get into that process of discovering. And for me, it's always been this exploration and this process of discovering what I love. Mm-hmm. So what I love, like, thrilling me as I'm creating. I'm inspired by other artists and things that I've taught myself to do just by accessing whatever's out there, courses like this,
Yes. Yes.
and just leaning into that, embracing the imperfections that the process of learning entails.
Right.
Right.
And you could take these techniques. There are so many techniques that you share in this course, but not everyone has to be put into every spread, or it could be used in different ways. Someone wants to make a greeting card, they could use one of the techniques or two. And you don't need that many materials as one might think in seeing this beautiful two spreads here.
Yeah. I mean, these have, it looks like they have a ton of different supplies in them,
yes,
but it really isn't that many. It's
right,
probably maybe a half a dozen,
yes,
total, right? So you don't need to have a lot of supplies, and you can play with one supply in different ways. Right. And the layering process really lends itself to any level of learner, because it's like one step at a time, one choice at a time, one layer at a time. And you can say, oh, I don't really want to work with that medium. I don't want to do that layer. You can leave a layer out if you want.
Absolutely. And that's what you learn in this course is Sarah literally juggles both of these journals back and forth throughout the course, doing layer after layer. And if you follow her step by step, you will absolutely have something very close to this. But just learning these different techniques, I can't thank you enough for coming here. Is there anything else you'd want to add?
Well, I think that I talk about this a lot in general, but part of this layering process is embracing your intuition and tapping into your intuition and letting you making those choices along the way based on like more of a gut feeling instead of worrying about how it's going to look. Go, I like that color crayon, that's the one I'm going to use, and you put it into your art journal, and then you make the next choice based on that. So for example, we start out one of the journal spreads with certain colors of a paint and a water-soluble crayon. Well, you've chosen those colors, and then those colors are going to inform the other supplies, the colors of supplies that you add to the next layers.
Right.
So you're letting your journal tell you what to do based on the choice you just made.
Yes.
And that's, to me, that's accessing the intuitive part of this. And it's getting me out of my thinking head, my overthinking head, and into that right side of my brain that, you know, where there's that transfer, you know?
Yes, and it really is just a process. It's a process that doesn't have to be all done at once. It can be done over time. And with all of these techniques, I'm so grateful that we have this here at Create Arts Online, and thank you so much for bringing it.
Thank you so much for having me.
I think you'll be back.
Let's juggle some journals.